Hi guys, and welcome to another Zoo Creates at Home. I'm Teagan, and I'm the Children and Family Program Specialist here at the zoo. And this is Kezia, our Community Engagement Specialist. And today we are here to make aquarium bags with you. So the first thing you'll need is a plastic baggie. And then our main ingredient to make this is hair gel. But really, I mean, if you've got some slime or any gooey substance, I think that would work too. So we're gonna start scooping some of this hair gel into the bag. And you wanna be kind of careful about getting it by the opening of the bag, just like if you were putting like frosting in the bag, you don't want it to squish out once you zip it closed. So I think I'm gonna put about 5 scoops in. But you can put as much or as little as you would like. All right, about like that. All right, and then I want my bag to kind of be an ocean bag. And Kezia, I kind of gave you some supplies to make maybe like a swamp bag.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
So I'm gonna put some colorful beads in there. But I've also got some like fishy beads. So if you have some animals that maybe would live in water, you can put those in there. Got some fish and some dolphins and some whales. Ooh, a penguin would be in the water.
Ooh, nice.
I'm gonna put a penguin in there. All right, and then I am gonna turn my gel blue. So I'm just gonna add a drop of food coloring in there. You could also use glitter to change the color, or maybe a little bit, just a little bit of paint.
I think I'm gonna use some green.
Ooh.
It's a nice swamp, right?
Yes, and so once all those ingredients are in there, you're gonna wanna mix it up, and that's going to give you that color. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of air in there right now while I'm mixing. Once it's kind of mixed up, I'm gonna squish the air out. So we don't want very much air in there at all when we're all finished. So try to squeeze out all that air without squeezing out the hair gel. So just like that. Oops. And then you've got an aquarium bag. So you can see those fish are swimming around in that hair gel. So you can just squish it around, and I've got to tell you, it feels really, really cool to be able to squish it around, and it's not getting all messy. So maybe you don't like that feeling of the slime on your hands. And this is a really great way to be able to play with it and not get dirty.
Mine's pretty messy.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. So that's why I brought a rag, and maybe you've got some baby wipes, or you can get some wet paper towels, because it'll happen. You'll get a little messy. Cool. So it looks like, so you had some like moss or grass in there?
Yep. So I had some moss that's kind of grass-like, and then I put some sequins in there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So if like maybe you had some seashells, you could put some seashells in there, little rocks, any little pieces of nature. And it will look really, really cool. How does it feel, Kezia?
Great.
Yes, nice and cool. All right. Well, today we don't have any fish because it's pretty hard to bring fish, because that's what I would think of when we have an aquarium. So at home I have fish in my aquarium, and sometimes I might have crabs or shrimp in my aquarium. But today we're gonna show you a different animal that would live in the water, but maybe not underwater, right, Kezia?
Not all the time.
Not all the time. So maybe you can kind of brainstorm what animals like to be in the water, but maybe don't breathe the water. So fish have something called gills that they can breathe the water. And there are lots of animals that live in water that don't. So another example would be like those whales or dolphins. They can't breathe the water, but they live in the water their whole lives. They actually breathe the air like we do because they're mammals. So we would call them sea mammals. Now I'm gonna get my mask on because we wanna be extra safe with the animals.
Yes, yes. All right, and I'm almost ready, getting everything on. And I'll go ahead and pull out our friend here. Oops, excuse me. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna sit down and get him a little bit more relaxed here. All right, everybody, so this is Donald, and he is an American alligator. So that's kind of why I wanted to make a swamp today, because I really like things that live in swamps. Swamps are really, really cool habitats. And they house a lot of different freshwater animals. So this guy here is a freshwater animal. You could probably find him in our southern states, mainly Louisiana and Florida, but kind of all down throughout those states in between as well. Alligators are really, really cool animals. So they are reptiles, so their skin is made up of these nice scales. But they feel a little bit different than the scales you would feel on like a turtle or on a snake or something like that. They actually feel kind of more like a leathery feel to them. So they're very, very thick and very strong. So this helps him to be a little bit more safe when he's out in underneath the water in the swamps. Swamps and bogs and things like that are a little bit more murky. That's why I kind of used that green color. And they have a lot of things down in them, like sticks and stumps and hard rocks and sharp rocks and things like that, and they want to make sure that their skin stays safe, and that's why they have such thick skin, like that kind of leathery feel. So he is young. Alligators can live a very long time though. Usually when you're thinking of an alligator, you see an alligator, the bigger the alligator is, the older that alligator is as well. Alligators will continuously grow throughout their entire lives, and that's why you can see some really big ones sometimes. And kind of some differences between alligators and crocodiles. So a lot of the times our crocodiles actually can usually be a little bit more able to go into salt water depending on the crocodile. They also have more of a V-shaped nose, so it's going to be a little bit more pointed, and our alligators are going to have more of this U-shaped nose that you see here. So if you notice, Donald here has his eyes that are on the top of his head. So we talked a little bit about being in the water and spending a lot of time in that water, but not really breathing the water. So his nostrils are actually at the top of his face too, if you guys can kind of see that. So what they do is they spend a lot of time mostly under the water, but they peek their eyes and their nose above so they can see and they can breathe. All right, that doesn't mean that they can't go completely under the water, because they are very good about closing their eyes with a really cool eyelid called a nictating membrane. And that membrane is clear and it's kind of like a third eyelid. And what it does, it protects their eyes and makes sure it stays moisturized while it's swimming under the water. But it also allows them to kind of see out that too. It's kind of like wearing goggles when you're swimming. So those goggles will help protect your eyes, but you can also see while you're moving under the water, which is very helpful when swimming. You don't want to run into things while you're swimming, excuse me. And it also helps them to catch their prey. So our alligators love to eat things that live under the water. So any species of animal that is under the water, these guys are carnivores, which means they eat meat. So they're going to eat fish, they're going to eat turtles. When he gets big, he might even eat other small alligators. But when he gets completely full grown, there's not an animal out in the wild that's going to want to eat him as a snack. So we call him an apex predator, which means he is at the top of the food chain. So yeah, I know I just said a lot. Let's see if Teagan has any questions for me and Donald today.
So you mentioned crocodiles. Do you have any other animals that look like him here at the zoo?
Any other animals? Yeah, we do. So we have dwarf caiman that live in the DC area, so in our kind of aquarium area. And they are much smaller than him, but they look a lot more like a mix between a crocodile and an alligator. It's kind of cool.
Cool. How about, I see he's got some long claws. What would he need long claws for?
Yeah, so he needs long claws to actually move on the ground when he's on land. So these guys are very good at running. Their big bodies may show that they may look a little deceiving when it comes to speed, but these guys are very, very quick when they want to be. But they can also be very lazy. They love to bask in the sun. Reptiles are something we call ectothermic, which means that they are kind of cold-blooded. That doesn't mean that their blood is actually cold. It just means that they can't regulate the temperature of it. So to warm up, they need to sit in the sun, and to cool down, they need to sit in the shade.
Cool. So do they use those feet for swimming, or how do they look when they're swimming?
Yeah, so they will use their feet for swimming. I don't know if you guys can see a little bit, but his back feet here do have some webbing on them, but he actually uses his tail more. So he'll tuck those feet in, and then he'll propel himself through the water with that tail, and it is very, very strong. So he uses it for swimming and for defense too. When he was wiggling when I got him out a little bit, if he really wanted to smack me pretty hard with that tail, he could have, and probably could have left a welt too.
Very cool. And can you remind us, what is his name?
So his name is Donald. Yeah.
Very cool. Does he have any brothers or sisters here at the zoo?
Yeah, so he lives with a couple other of his brothers, and their names are escaping me at the moment. But yes, he has 2 siblings that he lives with currently here at the zoo. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So how long has he been here at the zoo with us?
That's a really good question. I think they've been here with us not quite a year yet, but it's getting close to that time.
Very cool. And how big were they when they came?
So I could actually fit one of these guys in my hand. So his full body was probably about the length of my middle finger down to the end of my palm. And then his tail kind of stretched just slightly longer than that, but they were very, very small.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
It was very fun to see Ronald, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Make sure you're still making those comments and posting those pictures, and we'll see you again for another craft. Bye, guys.
Bye.